I love podcasting. And even just like vlogging specifically experiences, I was heavy in it more like 5 years ago.
Oh, word?
In like the beginning of my entrepreneur career. And then like there are other parts of reality that hit and it was like, yo, I need to, at least how I felt. I don't know if I feel the same way now, but at the time, 5 years ago, I felt this way. I was like, yo, I need to figure shit out because, you know, every stream that I had coming in, they had collapsed at a point. And I was like, yo, life is cool in one way. I'm in Asia, right? Like, I don't know anything going on. Everything I'm looking at is brand new, so I want to record it all. But...
Well, here, before we get into that, let's have like a little introduction real quick.
All right, let's do it.
People ready.
Let's do it.
So, what's up, guys? It's Joe from Solar Systems, and I'm with...
PernellBobby checking in.
Yeah. So, if you've been following me for a little bit, we've been doing a little bit of content together here and there, whether it's a collab or just like talking about like life and astrology, and he's been a very helpful teacher to me when it comes to like growing into more of the higher natures of my signs, because if you follow me a little bit, I still like the fuck shit. And it's not, as much as it's not the, as much as it is fun, it's not exactly the best path for sustainability. So we're out here just gonna chop it up, talk about life, spirituality. He's already given me 2-3 insights, shown me a couple things that are blocking me here and there so I can make sure that I'm making the best stuff for y'all. Because if you've seen the trajectory that we're both on, we're gonna be around for a while doing some crazy things.
Long time.
You know.
Yeah. I think one of the first, just to throw a random little spirit totem out there, between flies and between dragonflies, which are both different. Whenever a fly is circulating an area of your body, if you know a little bit of like just some body representations of, okay, you know, around your forehead you got third eye, or right around your knee you got Capricorn energy, maybe some structures. You hit your knee, if it's the left or the right, you hit your left knee. It's like, okay, some structures in your life are destroying, they're falling apart. You know, you hit your right knee, it can mean something entirely different that, okay, now you're rebuilding. Now you're moving forward with this new structure. But it takes damage to, like a tower moment, take things down, destroy them, and then build them up. So, you know, again, the key, if you ever have flies around you, let's say it's around your coochie. I've seen this before with a girl. That's a good warning sign that, you know, she's doing something, it's time to clean up that energy on the sacral chakra. But when you see stuff like dragonflies, we were just talking about it, we're on a full moon in Sagittarius. So what's beautiful about that is already, it's like, okay, full moons always bring revelations. They always bring miraculous insights that have been unfolding, you know, for a period. I think what's major about this one is that we have 7 months worth of a Mars and Gemini building this opposition energy up.
Yeah, that's different.
Right, in the retrograde. And so I feel like that has contributed to this full moon is a little bit stronger in its own way. I'm not going to say it's an eclipse and blah, blah, blah. But in its own way, both him and I are Scorpio risings.
Right.
And it's really hitting our Sagittarius placements of like, okay, this is already third eye. These are already revelations. So, hey, stay tuned. All right, we're walking up to a crag right now.
Yeah, we didn't even tell them what we're doing.
This is my first crag. I've never been rock climbing, you know, where I got ropes and stuff. I was saying it earlier. I was like, maybe when I've been in the back of my backyard climbing a tree, that's about as much as it's been. But I'm excited for the adventure.
Hey, man, it's going to be crazy. We're going to this place called the Castle Crag. I called up my buddy Brian, who used to climb in Connecticut a lot. He's actually out in Yosemite right now. And it's going to be cool. I said, yo, man, I'm going up to Connecticut on some business. What's the best crag to climb at? And he said, this one, the East Peak in Meriden. And I was like, okay. And then I looked it up. There was a castle. We're hiking up to it right now. We're going to make it happen. Got to identify this trail real quick. And then, we're going to keep going on to it. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited.
Let's tap in.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, look, you can see it right there.
Okay.
We'll get a little video here and there. Yeah, it looks like it's this way.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
So heading up to the castle. Water is one of my, I had the little insight early, right before I came here. It was like, go to water.
Oh, well, there it is.
I know. I was by the ocean yesterday. It was kind of a wharf, so it wasn't like beautiful ocean view, but
that nice
wharf,
that northeastern look.
You know, that dirty harbor that no boats want to pull in.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Baltimore, you know something about that.
Right, you feel me? But this looks beautiful. I'm counting this one in.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, make sure you don't get that in the shot. You know, we're gonna see that phone.
I hear that. Yeah, it was funny. I was like, man, I really was craving water because I didn't give a fuck that it was this wharf. It was a dirty ass, like it looked like a swamp leading into the ocean. I won't even lie to you.
Damn.
And you've been to New Haven? You ever heard?
Yeah, I've been to New Haven.
So you know, like New Haven water ain't the it.
No, it ain't it.
That ain't really where you want to go to the beach.
I'd still argue Baltimore's a little worse, but yeah. Honestly, I'd argue anything that's like anything that's above Virginia Beach ain't it till you get to about Maine.
Sure. Well, I will say there are some nice ass Connecticut beaches, but they're a lot far. They're like an hour, at least from where I'm at.
Yeah.
They're about an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45.
Weren't you like smack in the middle of Connecticut?
I am. I'm pretty much smack in the middle.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, the closest beach I can get to is about 45 minutes.
Ah.
But like I said, it ain't the nicest, but it still is a nice beach.
Gotcha.
In all sincerity, because it's not populated. Nobody goes. It's not a lot of people. You know, Connecticut has like 1 million people, I think.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's really not that big. Hello. It's really not that big. So
what's what's nice about this beach?
well, the other one I think that was a little further away. I actually think it was in Rhode Island, which is like Musquamaquet, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the best I can say about that is like, I think it's just the money is a little bit more.
Oh,
You know, they're a little richer.
Something.
Yeah. It's not as much contamination. They care about the beach themselves as residents and shit. So I think they take care of it more themselves as well.
You know what they say once the first cuts that come in the budget is always the environmental engineering.
Yo, it's terrible, no?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it great.
Yo, so I was talking about this yesterday, like, with Capricorn, just back in my membership.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know, I started seeing Capricorn totally different when I realized it's about, its legacy is about a fucking, speaking of business, right? It's all about the whole system, a whole life system, which, because we're in this stage of, like, existence now, this might be good to start the podcast on this little clip. Just on this little Capricorn clip.
Yeah. I mean, I'll chop it up when I get back.
Oh, it's just rolling.
Yeah, it's been rolling this whole time.
It's just rolling the whole time.
Yeah. No, I was actually gonna say you don't even have to like talk that loud because the mics are so good.
I was just talking like this because I'm excited.
Oh no, do your thing.
I wasn't thinking I was on microphone right now. I had no idea.
I had it recorded. That's why I said to start it off in a whoop wop.
I literally had no idea. That's why I said, yo, maybe you should start on this clip.
Yeah, we can.
What'd you call it? So I realized that Capricorn is a whole life. It looks at life as a whole system, which is kind of why it's so cheap in certain stages.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it needs maximum efficiency because life as a system, a whole life system, is not just about your job, career, and making money. It's about what am I using that money for the collective. And so...
No, I feel that.
Financial counts, right? But ecological is the other side. It's still an earth sign.
Yeah.
And it's like, think about what corporations, which we know Capricorn energy about, are doing to the ecology. Right, to the ecological system. Right now we're in the forest. How much plastic gets put and dumped into the ocean, or garbage into the ocean, oil into the ocean. This stuff happens with these big companies that are Capricorn related, and that's why I think Pluto is blowing up on some of these parts when it comes to the environment. You know what I mean? Oh shit, this is already off track.
Oh yeah.
Loving it.
Hey man, this is good for me. Sometimes I just walk straight through the woods.
Hey, I ain't mad.
But yeah, continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, so, you know, when I started like realizing this is part of Pluto and Capricorn on his blow up, where it's like that stuff's not gonna keep flying the way business owners might save, large corporations too, right? Might save some money by doing something harmful to the environment. These are some of the things that won't last, and I feel like they're getting called out, and you see it already.
No, for sure. With like carbon taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And and some of it is from other influencers who might have some power, some pull, who decided to go travel somewhere and realize, yo, the world is jacked up. We really need to start taking care of trees. We need to start taking care of lakes. And I realized that Capricorn is the one who actually has not just the influence, but the political mastery to start making that stuff happen. Which is different than Virgo and Taurus.
Well, I mean, like, they're, like, all about, like you said, from efficiency, like, making sure they do things in the most way. Like, they don't care. Like, I think Capricorn resonates with, like, this old Abe Lincoln quote the most, which is, like, if I'm going to spend 8 hours chopping a tree, I'm going to spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. Because it's just, like, if I'm going to spend all this time and energy, I might as well spend most of it knowing that it's going to work.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And also, just to give some people context, we'll we'll get some footage for the visualizer for this thing, but we're hiking up a trail and it's about to get a little steep. So if you hear us huffing and puffing and not exactly flowing conversationally at our peak, give us a minute. We'll get to some flat ground.
I started noticing my breath catching up a little bit too.
Yeah. I mean, out of all like crag approaches, like this ain't that bad. Like for example, out in Red Rocks in Vegas, which I'll probably head out there because there's some people I know in the space that are actually out there. But out there, I'm famous for like not giving a fuck about the trail and then walking into a cactus like a dumbass.
Ooh.
It's not that bad. Like, it's happened so many times where you're like, oh, you just gotta poke out the needles. But it's like the approach is like out west. It's like things will look close for about a mile until you actually get there, and it'll say the approach is a mile, but it ends up really being like 2, and you're just walking along this desert trail trying to get there.
Eventually, the heat starts kicking up.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't climb in Vegas in the summertime, especially because all the easy routes are like literally named after the sun. Like the solar slab, which is a 1,500-foot easy climb. Nonetheless, I'm gonna say this goes right. Ugh.
I'm so happy I found the little baby bag.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it helps.
Yep. I'm actually gonna put my phone in my pocket right now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the phone is going away. We already going uphill.
Yeah, we're expressing ourselves vertically.
Yeah, right? So it's time.
All right, so it says we're at the crag. I'm trying to figure out where the trail picks back up. Talk about the Capricorn energies, live in the Capricorn energies. That's what it is. This ain't straight up.
I'm just like, fuck it, I'm feeling like a baby. I'm just gonna crawl this bitch up.
Hey man, points of contact, love it. But yeah, so for what the story parts, I'll like edit this in, and then I'm just gonna have like a visualizer when we get to a cool sitting spot. All right, man. So what'd you think of the climb? Or are you waiting to film your thing?
No, we're good. The climb, yeah, like the first thoughts that come to mind is like some like MacGyver, right?
Yeah.
I'm literally thinking, so yeah, like, I did my first rock climb, right?
Oh yeah.
With Joe, Solar System. First rock climb with Joe from Solar System. So never thought in my lifetime this would be with another astrologer. So that's step one of like, all right. Shoes matter. It's one of my first lessons. Yeah. I tried to climb this on. It's harder to see from here, but on the side, you see the ropes hanging down already from right there. Mm-hmm. And I was stuck at this one point. So around this corner, there's that little spot you see right there. It's like, all right, I'm not tall enough to just reach it with my arm. Yeah. I don't know any real rock climbing techniques other than being a kid, right? And so I'm like, what the hell? How do you do this? And I'm like, Joe, do you have any advice at this point? And so halfway through climbing up, I kick my shoes down. Thank you. Halfway through, I'm coming up, I kick my shoes down. It falls all the way down there. I'm still missing a sole, okay?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you can see it down
I have no idea where it's at. But I kick my shoe down because I'm like, all right, these shoes are way too easy. You see how easy it comes off? And I'm like, my foot is slipping out of the shoe. And I'm like, how is this going to work? So I was like, look, let's just take the feet off altogether, because I'm thinking to myself, I love going barefoot, and barefoot would work. Next thing you know, we got the chalk coming here, and I'm trying to, he's like, yeah, chalk your hands helps. And meanwhile, I'm chalking my toes because my freaking feet are like sweating and getting wet. And I'm like, how, it's easy to get my feet into certain holes and cracks and crevices, but the rocks are so jagged enough where they're cutting my feet where it doesn't make it comfortable enough to actually push off and climb upward simultaneously. And so the first time, essentially, it took me like, what, 15, 16 minutes, I feel like.
Yeah, something like that.
I could feel Joe getting bored as shit.
No, I wasn't like that.
Nah, I can't. No, that's recording right there. No.
I know. I was flipping it around.
Okay. I feel Joe getting bored as shit. Back to the seating spot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. So he's like, yo, if you take the leap, I'll be impressed, or something like that.
Yeah. I said jump. It'll be fun.
Jump. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, if I could jump, I will take this jump. And I couldn't find the footing for such things. I honestly couldn't find the footing for it. And I was like, all right, what now? And so I ran out of options, at least 4 different ways.
That's how it be.
I asked him, yo, can I pull the rope itself? He's like, yo, that's cheating. And then there's that internal side of me that's like,
no, I can't be cheating.
Hell no. Like, hell no, I'm not going out like this. They can't meet somebody for the first time and then that's the moral compass of, yeah, you cheated to get up. No. So I'm just looking at it from this perspective of like, okay, this is what it takes to be in the mentee seat. Like to be in the seat where I'm learning something new. And I should just be okay with, I'm not theoretically supposed to know, but I won't learn without trying. And so that was just the mindset I kind of put myself in. And so I hit this point where I'm sitting back, I'm like, just to kind of like hold me into spot so I can like try to brainstorm how the hell am I going to get over this crack? And he had made a suggestion, yo, you can just come down and try again later. And I was like, nah, I don't really want to do that either. So I tried a couple more times. Eventually I was like, I got to come down. I was like, I need to at least try to see Joe make his way up there. And it kind of was this Roger Bannister mentality of like, all right, he broke the 4-minute mile. Once I know it can be broken, then there's no way that I can't get up this thing because I know it is possible. Because it was hitting the part of my mind in the beginning was like, this isn't possible. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this right now. And boom, I come down. I see him go up. He gets up. He gets over the part that I was stuck at so quickly that I didn't even see him do it because I was worried about my
I was
up,
falling down.
down,
You were being like,
under.
yo, look at this.
Yo, literally, I'm still following him like because I'm like holding a rope now and I'm doing my technique of up, down, under, up, slide.
Yeah.
Thank you, slide. And I'm trying to focus on making sure I don't drop his ass because I'm like,
I like living.
He likes to live, and I don't want to be a killer, right? Mm-hmm. And so by the time I get the rhythm of this, I'm getting a wedgie. That was annoying.
Yeah,
Bugs are biting me. I'm like, God damn. I look back up. Thank you. I look back up, and he's already like on top of the ledge. He's like, I got it. I'm like, how the hell did you do it? He's like, it was simple. You just had to go up and put your foot in the crack. And I was like, I've put my foot and finger in every crack possible. And so he gets up, he comes down, repelling like Spider-Man in a comic series, right? And then...
Oh, yeah, we should have got footage of that. That would have been cool.
I wish we did get footage of that. And then he gives me his shoes. And next thing you know, I feel like I'm Spider-Man now, and I have like the power. It felt like a freaking Thor's hammer or Thor's belt power-up. And now it's like, it just got simple. More of the story here, wear shoes when you rock climb. Yeah. That's step 1. Step 2, be willing to fail and not stubborn to the point, and I'm talking to myself and whoever else is listening, be willing to fail and not stubborn to the point where not accepting what could be considered a temporary failure, at least in my own mind, allow me to go ahead and regroup, strategize, and realize that all I needed was the right tools and equipment, which were already in possession. They just needed to be acknowledged. And so that for me is the moral lesson of the story behind this whole rock climbing moment.
Capricorn moon lesson.
Capricorn moon lesson. So you got anything for us?
Yeah, other than that, this is Meriden. It's pretty easy. There ain't really nothing that important about it. You just go up, you go down. That's pretty much it. But when you're new, you got to take the time to just sit back and learn. And climbing is a great lesson in that. This is why some people say, don't stop the kids skateboarding, because there's a really, really simple power in it ain't going to get done until it just gets done. And that's something that climbing can teach you every time because, hey, look, here's a pure lesson in earth energy from an astrological standpoint. You're here, you won't go there. And, like, how are you going to do that?
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Right.
So it's just like, you got to just accept the fact that the rock doesn't care. You'll get up there when you get there. And that's just how it's going to be. And there's a really important lesson to that, and I think it's very humbling when you need to learn boundaries, restrictions, limits, especially growth. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Capricorn moon situations. We got up, we went down, now we're about to do it again.
Hey, this is checking in live from 2 Scorpio Risings. We're going to get a different vantage point from the top. I'm imagining we're going around the other way.
Oh, hell no, we're going up this way.
Or going back up this way?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go climb back up again. Maybe we do get footage of the climb this time, and we'll tap in soon.
The boy P pulling up vertically.
Vertical. Mountain goat shit.
Moon and Capricorn shit.
Moon and cat. I just think it's super ironic that the moon is in Capricorn.
I chose it for that reason.
Did you?
Yeah.
For me, I was like, fate? Because I didn't realize it until you said it.
I also chose it as a 5-day, since it's June 5th. Not like.
All right, so we're recording. So whenever you want to talk about the view or something. Hey, look, a car.
What got you into astrology?
That's always a contentious question for me, but straight up, kind of what we talked about before regarding certain apps and pursuit of feminine energy.
Really?
Yeah, no, pretty much how it happened was I was on a date.
Uh-huh.
And, like, I've been going on dates and, like, girls having their profiles, like, their sun, moon, and ascendant.
No shit.
Always thought the shit was dumb, but I cared about one thing at that point in time, so I was like, I'll tolerate it. Mm-hmm. And then, basically, this one girl said one thing to me one time. She said, oh, you're an air sign, so you always just be stumbling through everything. And for some reason, that resonated with me so goddamn heavily that, like, I went up and, like, looked up everything.
Geminis do be stumbling into things.
No, it's great. Like, you know,
it's like things hit them.
This situation. That's a perfect example.
It's like things
every
just hit
situation.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very magical process, though. I realize it's like, when I start realizing that Geminis have an unconscious Pisces frequency, it all made total sense.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, yeah, it's weird, because it's like, I like to describe it, it's like, you get shot with, like, a confetti cannon. And it's just the best thing ever, and then you like pursue that to like endless bliss. Sometimes it destroys you, sometimes it lifts you up. You don't know, but you have your magical Gemini powers, so you can just like fuck up and literally go up. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Well,
like,
it has the problem solving abilities, like to just keep changing and shifting, and it's like what I was trying to do here when I got stuck on the rock. I was like, okay, how can I change my mind? How can I just even try a different path? Like, I even tried to see if I can go up the side, and that's why I asked you, and you were like, nah, because the rope has to be on this right side. Yeah,
and then that way you were going up that. I tried earlier, it got hard. It was like kind of hard, so I was just like, you wouldn't want that. Because, like, for example, what you did was like 5'8", and when I explained to you like the grading system, and I'll in post I'll throw up like a little thing that like diagram that shows the grading system. But what I climbed was like medium 5'10", maybe easy 5'11". Like, it wasn't terribly hard, but like it was hard enough that you don't want to do that your first time.
Sure.
And then it's like the rock had those like green spots on it, which you can probably see in the B-roll right now.
They're slippery, like algae.
It's called lichen.
Lichen.
Yeah, it's it be chilling. It's it just is what it is. It's like
you
it's
can't
like,
grip it well though.
Yeah, it's just like grabbing dirt. So then you're just like, and then you'd be slipping. So it was kind of covered in that because it was something that hasn't really been climbed before, at least recently. But yeah, I forget why I was saying that. Oh yeah, because you were like, you don't go up this way, and I was like, yeah, that was why. But it was cool. I hope like if this ever happens again at this exact location, which I highly doubt, it'll be cool to try again. You know what I'm saying?
I guess there's rocks everywhere.
Yeah. No, there's rocks everywhere, and like this was just because it was close, and I called my buddy, and he was like, you should do this. And it's interesting because I don't know if you know, like, one of the most like famous climbers that does like the no rope stuff. But he did this climb called the Phoenix, which is like in Yosemite, and you have to like rappel down like what we did, rappel down like 800 feet to get to it. And it's like you know how you were climbing up the crack? It's like a crack like that, and it was like it's just like straight overhanging, and you have to do it for like 120 feet, which is like.
What do you mean? Like it goes like this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like but so if you want to
800 meters.
No. You have to rappel down 800 feet to get to it. And it's
he has to overhang to go 800 meters back up.
Yeah, I guess you would have to climb back up.
So
but the hard part's only like 100 feet.
Because I'm almost imagining, like, if somebody's hanging on this angle and climbing up for that 800 meters, like, how? Like, what happens if he gets tired? He just dies?
Nah, you got a rope. You'll be all right.
Oh, he still has a rope.
Yeah. He's not the ropeless climber. He just did the climb that's like... There's a bunch of famous videos online because if people wanted to look it up.
I thought you said he straight free climbed it like he
No.
I was like, bro, who is he? Like, what? Okay, no, that makes more sense.
Yeah. It's crazy, though.
No, that makes more sense because I was like, time out.
Yeah.
Because I had these points where when I got tired right here, I was like, oh, my God. And then I finally slipped. It's like, bro, that's it. You're done.
Well, you wouldn't be done. It depends if you flipped over. If you fell on your feet, you'd probably just like break your legs.
Well, I think right here I would have been fine because there was still a half ledge coming through.
there's always something.
There's still a half ledge. And I'm positive my ass is like, I can't die, so I would have figured something.
Yeah, no, that we'll see. what climbing teaches you, it's like situations of necessity.
Sure.
Like, it just forces you to learn. And I think, and like, in some weird way, like, you know, like in an Aries like tip, it like kind of like convinces you to just bash through anyway and figure it out. And it's just like more or less like, and I feel like that's interesting because we pull it back to like that like Aries energy is just like what pushes you, that like innate drive to really just go for it. You just like, there's something to be said for learning things that way because you're not going to forget.
Sure.
You're not going to forget. And I find that interesting, especially when like I apply it to like learning things because like, I mean, you know, it's like an Aries moon. You're just like, I want to do this. And like, there's nothing that stands in your way.
True. But I feel like, it's like I said again, like at this stage of my life, like I don't really bash things pretty much at all anymore until, and I think it's because, you know, my son, all of my planets, they already progressed into Taurus and Cancer. And it's like, they just deal with things very different where like, they have Aries a little bit more in check where they're like, look, Aries, chill out and save your energy until we say go. And we're going to make the plan so that when you hit with as much force as you can, we're going to move mountains. But if you just hit the mountain thinking that if you hit it enough that it'll move, that didn't work for you too long or too well. And you already learned those lessons. So just trust us for now. And we're going to clear cut the path for you to hit it one time in this exact spot, and this entire mountain we're sitting on will crumble, versus trying to hit it 100 times and then it doesn't even dent it. And again, like I said, it's just a progression through Aries because, you know, like I have a late degree Aries sun, and I think having that later degree Aries sun is like, I was already 6 years old when I became a Taurus. You know what I mean? And so like most of my Aries was done in different life cycles. Like even my Mercury is a late degree. It's still, even my moon is 28 degrees. So it's like, they're all so late that like in this life, like it's like I almost came back knowing how to be an Aries where I didn't. My young Aries lessons was when I was a baby to like even a kid, but very quickly it became Taurian. Where as I was an adult, I still would hit things and try to over and over and over, and I'll get really frustrated in all sincerity. But I feel like I shifted pretty quickly, and I think it's mostly because my other Gemini placements and other shit kind of helped me with that shifting and that changing of direction.
Wait, where you got Gemini at?
Venus.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have a Venus in Gemini. My Vesta's in Gemini. Honestly, I know you don't do asteroids as much, but I got like 6 asteroids in Gemini. And
no, I do some asteroids. I just don't like pay attention to them as closely.
Yeah, I feel like I don't get crazy with the asteroid thing. Like some matter to me, and some I don't pay too much. Some is like I have some base knowledge about it. And I don't really dig too deep. It's just like, okay, look, I get it. I get it on the surface.
Lilith and Chiron is at. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I honestly rock with Vesta though. I can't lie. Vesta, Pallas, I feel like, and Ceres, I feel like these really matter. These 3 matter.
Oh, what about Juno?
Yeah, it matters as well. When you, like it helped me, but it was the kind of thing like once it helped me, it was like a permanent assistance where like I don't have to keep referring to it. Like I got my Juno in Capricorn. Once I understood that, I realized I do need dependability. I do need sustainability in partnerships, and in other things. I'm trying to think what third house I think it has to be. Yeah, so when I realized my Juno was in Capricorn, it helped me in the relationship space because, you know, I saw something recently about like Venus and Gemini and how like one of their big lessons is to learn like that it's not quantity, it's quality. And so, especially with relationships, right?
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, it helped me when I found my Juno in Capricorn because it was like, okay, now that I see this, I've had a big pool of experience when it comes to relating with other people. But that pool, a lot of it was very still superficial. Like a lot of it was like, by the time I had, like, this is when my Pallas came in Virgo, where I got a Pallas in Virgo where it cleaned up a lot of Gemini's nonsense that was just collecting data, which actually wasn't nonsense because without that data, there's nothing to clean for Virgo.
Right.
Virgo needs chaos. And that all those quantities was the chaos, which gave Virgo, you know, a proper motor for something to clean up that is now, you know, discernment played its part. So again, those earth energies really those are some asteroids that helped me to support other energies of my planets. Again, I'm not going to call it stronger, but it really helped to support, because just being able to intellectually understand what those planets, let's just say Pallas and Juno for a moment, when it comes to commitment and finishing projects. For me, most of mine works back in business, so it's actually not even. But again, relationships, business is relationships. I mean, like how you relate with somebody else is a part of your sale. It is a part of your rapport that you build with them, right?
It's half of the whole thing.
It's half of everything. So Gemini already collected data from my Venus and Gemini. It collected data from everybody.
Yeah.
Literally. But then the pool was like, I got all this stuff where Virgo went back and cleaned it up. So that's why I feel it supported me also from an asteroid level. But yeah, again, like I said, I don't get too crazy in it. Like once I knew that, and I didn't sometimes I get obsessive with certain things that I like to learn. This was not the project I needed to be obsessed about. This wasn't my OCD thing. It was like, okay, once I learned it, it's in my head. I know it's there. And so when I recognize things in real time, I'm like, Virgo, Pallas and Virgo is working. And it's just that simple. Like I just acknowledge it and it's done.
You know, it's interesting you say that about Gemini, because, like, with my sun, like, semi-conjunct Mars in Gemini, and, like, having, like, Mercury kind of in that mix, like, all around, like, the 7th and 8th house, I sort of did the same thing, but from a different perspective of, like, where I would, like, talk to everybody and, like, find the gold within their soul, if that makes any sense. Like, what is your thing? What do you do best? And, like, when I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, I would just, like, talk to everybody, and I mean everybody. Like, engineers, nurses, finance people, lawyers, artists, art salesmen, people that broker deals between banks, people that broker deals between burgers and dollars, like everything. You know what I'm saying? And just like really, really finding like what that was, and like in some weird ways it was like that like interesting dualistic natures of like the Gemini, where it's just like I was really like developing my skill of like kind of what I do now, of like where like in my readings, like trying to like really just like go to the source of like what people want to do, and like go to the source of like what the essence of what someone is trying to do, like whether that
their
be like,
desires.
Yeah. Well, not always their desires, but like maybe how they're masking their desires with the lesson they're trying to teach themselves, and they're like, you know, back to the Aries thing of like bashing their head against the wall, right? And then finding like the space within them of like where they're storing that within their body and stuff like that. And it's just like interesting of how like that like Gemini thing kind of like moves between both worlds, sort of like how you said of how there's like that like Piscean aspect of it, of just like one, they're collecting data sets, but two, they're also refining their own skills of like communicating and like sort of like using that weird like archetype thing they have when like defining people for their own personal efficiencies. You know,
because that definitely happens.
Oh, it totally happens. It's like
the whole learning process.
But like the weird thing is like, it's like if they know how to use that part of themselves, they're not wrong when they like put people into a box, at least for a certain aspect of themselves. It's like when they try to consciously do it, that's where they like fuck up most of the time. But like if they just say things like you're XYZ and you do this.
I think it's mostly when they try to do things outside of the place of neutrality.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Mercury is a neutral planet. So like it's when Gemini tries to not be neutral and tries to do things for either personal gain.
Yeah.
That's when they mess up, because that's no longer neutral.
No.
Right? Or when they try to hurt somebody intentionally. If they hurt somebody just because somebody got triggered by them telling the truth, that's one thing. When they hurt somebody because they're insecure and they want to escape from that insecurity, so they hurt the person to hide their own thing, that's when I find that they get in trouble. Or life just like punishes them somehow, some way, because they're not being neutral anymore.
Yeah.
They're leaning towards the left or they're leaning towards the right. They're supposed to just collect and categorize, you know, just by life happening, you know, in its own chord, not by it manipulating. Because that's the part where, again, we're still humans, right? And we still have other zodiac signs. So it's like Gemini may stay neutral, but maybe our Capricorn placement decides to manipulate for a certain sense of greed, and Gemini is just operating, is brokering the deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why that combination really matters. You know what I've been working on though?
What's that?
I've been trying to understand two major aspects in my own chart.
Okay.
I have Saturn in Aquarius, quincunx, my Mars in Cancer.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like misappropriating your stubborn natures and masking it like you care. It's like, well, it really seems like the perfect example of like what I wanted to talk about, which was like touching on the Gemini neutrality of like they can do fucked up shit with pure intentions.
Sure.
You know? So like that's kind of what it sounds like in a sense of like you may be doing something pure, but like it's sort of like imagine what you were telling me about with Eileen and how she like categorized all that stuff about the house systems and certain alignments, right? Imagine like it seems like you're trying to like spreadsheet your positive intentions and being hyper motivated to care for people, and like through that stubborn nature, it's like how you're going about it makes people feel like they're less of an individual because you're trying to categorize it. But through you trying to like maximize and create an efficient foundation to do that, it's like you're being more in the cup of you're making more the cup of the water better rather than like riding the wave, if that makes sense.
What if I add the fact that now, would you prefer whole sign or Placidus?
If we're talking in like a pure influence sense, Placidus, but if we're doing like more of like a chakra sense, I would say whole sign.
So I'm going to choose Placidus. I'm saying, so if I did that same quincunx where I have Aquarius in the 3rd house and Cancer in the 8th house, would that give any extra bullet points to what you previously just said?
No, actually not really, because I feel like my example of like a spreadsheet sort of just like
it makes
caught
sense.
onto that.
It makes sense. You know, you reminded me of when I was in California. What was I doing? I can't remember. Was I writing my book by then? I don't know. I was doing something. I think it was my book at that time. I don't remember if that's true. But I remember I came to this realization that like I was like, oh my God, like I've treated human beings as a social experiment. Like not as actual human beings, like not as people, like as like play toys for me to learn things and for play toys for me to like understand humans. It's almost like I'm like this alien coming to Earth and trying to study people for everything they're worth and everything that they feel, but also doing it in a way where like I'm not really, that whole process for me was not humanized at all. It was like a real test lab where there's no ethical board. It's just my own, you know, it's like it's a part of me learning and understanding my own moral compass. But at the same time, that wasn't my thought process. Like there was no moral compass thought process at all. It was just like, this is my laboratory. I want to understand people and why they do what they do, why they feel what they feel. And I would like run like social experiments, but without even people knowing they were a part of the social experiment. And a lot of this happened in my own private mind, quite frankly. Like I would even like take notes, like, and like, like,
oh, you made me really run for it.
You know, like write down reactions and like try to understand like things. And I'm almost wondering if that has something to do with that categorizing you were speaking about with the Excel sheet and the whole queen, if that's a possibility.
That sounds about right, but this is also a common thing in like the coding community when it comes to like social engineering, because it's, you know, basically what you described. So it's like I don't know, I feel like that's like very common in like more like the tech space. Like did you have like a point to that at all?
No, I just felt like that might have been
that sounds
what
like
you were
it.
explaining with the King Kong.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me.
All right, I got one more personal one.
Okay.
Because I really just found out about these aspects. Like for some reason, like I just skipped my own. Like I've never seen quincunxes pop up in my own chart because I didn't click the little quincunx box. So like it just, I more recently over the last couple of weeks just looked at it and I'm like, oh wow, and I love new shit, right? So it's like,
no, I feel that.
Yeah, like it's just too much to do.
You just don't want to look at your chart, you know. Like that's why I don't really like. I haven't gone like too deep into.
That's
like,
why I'm asking somebody
all the extra
outside.
shit,
That's why
you
I'm
know?
asking somebody outside of myself, so that I can try to see like more objectively.
Well, that's like the whole point of like this podcast. It's like, what's the point of talking about spirituality in life if you're not living it? Like,
Sure.
We did a living about 20 minutes ago,
and that matters to me as well, because I feel like there's that part of me that does prioritize living rather than intellectualizing, especially in my own life. Like I'll look at a lot of other stuff and have other. But here's my next question. Like, if I have a Scorpio rising and it's quincunx my sun in Aries, what picture does that paint?
Well, I mean, like, I got, like, if you have the yang version of that, I got the yin version of that. So, like, I got married down on that for you. But the one thing I did want to say is, like, sometimes, like, I feel like a lot of astrologers go through this where it's, like, sometimes they just, like, don't give a fuck about, like, certain alignments. And, like, I look at it as, like, sometimes I just don't want to play life on expert mode. Or, like, have the cheat codes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just want to live.
Sure.
You know? But to what you're saying, I mean, it really just, like, seems like how you express things is just always misrepresent. It's really just, like, the personification of people being like, oh, before you said anything, I didn't think you were that way.
Sure.
You know? Like,
Sure.
I mean, I know that's, like, kind of a basic thing, but, I mean, I feel like if you were to go in depth about it, like, you know, maybe our, like, Scorpio ascendants would want, like, you're really just kind of, like, coming up with new ways to say the same shit. Like, I feel like that's really just, it is what it is, you know? Like, because it's something so simple that could be broadcasted throughout many different situations.
Sure.
And that's really just what it is, and, like, remixed every single time. I just think, like, the complexity comes from, like, how many different remixes it's happened in.
I think the part that resonated the most from what you just said so far was, like, apparently to the outside world, like, I'm never what people think I am. Like, as
or
a
just
starter.
like your means of like expression, like just like the basic shit, like you know, just like people don't think you would say something with such passion. People think like maybe you're more conniving just because like you know you got that Scorpio ascendant look where you're like you know you're looking around just with intensity.
Sure.
Or it's just like even if it doesn't look like that, it's just the illusion of just like I mean especially when you're young, the illusion of being more confident than you are. You know.
Ah, yes.
That happens a lot when you're young, I imagine.
I was literally, before you even said it, I was thinking, I feel like when I was younger, this was way more common. Like, I feel like it was way more common.
Well, yeah, because you're just doubling down on hiding your insecurities, you know, which is like, in some weird way, accomplishes what you want without making you feel okay with it.
Yeah. I guess when I look at it like that, it's like, at some point along the way, like, I just stopped liking humans.
That ties back in the other alignment.
You know, and like, and I
well, you
feel
didn't
like
connect with them.
Huh?
You didn't connect with them.
Exactly. Like a lot of people, like I don't connect with, and I've been, it's been this understanding of intimacy, and like what do I require, you know, from an intimacy standpoint, and it's like.
Well, I mean, like having the 8th house kind of near Cancer sort of might do that to you.
That's one of the things that's been coming up a lot as well. It's like, and I have been respecting that my Cancer is 8th house, 9th house. I've seen it really apply for both if you count whole sign. And again, my Chiron is right there as well, so it's the same.
Yeah.
But I feel like with that quincunx between the rising and the sun, I really have noticed that like, I don't know what I read, but one day I read something and it was just like about my placements. I don't know which placement it was even talking about, but it was like, you'll do a lot better, especially in business environments and interactions, if you just don't smile. As one of the things it said, and it said because...
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
You'll have, like, you have such a jovial, you know, mentality and jovial spirit that, like, people naturally try to believe that you're not capable or not strong or confident in certain situations, and they'll try to, like, dismantle and take advantage of that kindness as if it was a weakness. And they were like, you'll do a lot better in a lot of situations if you just don't smile. And I started practicing and playing with it, and I realized, like, life changed drastically. Like, a lot of, like, people who weren't ready for a certain level of intimacy in relationship, like a certain level of depth, I realized that it kind of, like, preemptively deflected them away from me before we even had a conversation.
Oh.
Like, before we would even talk, people would almost, like, spill their own insecurity up front. And I would just, like, look at them, like, where I'm, like, up front, like, I would recognize at least, I don't want to really quantify the percentage, but it would feel like 80% would just be right there.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? And I would just be looking at them, like, and then there would just be this moment where, like, they'll wait and pause for me to say something. And I'm like, well, what is there to say? Like, you basically just said everything that you...
What do you want to hear?
You know what I mean? Like if you recorded yourself, you said everything in the conversation that was necessary so far. And so I started learning to, like, unless somebody asks me a question, to really not say much. Like, it's like, I realized that most things don't need to be vocalized unless I'm asked a question. And I realized once I ask a question, and human design can help me with it because I am a generator where it's like, we're here to wait to respond. So if there's nothing to respond to, then there's nothing to say. And I realized like my life changed and it energized a lot because I used to waste a lot of energy telling people everything that they would already just say out loud themselves. So when I just shut up and actually waited to respond, there's nothing to respond to if somebody just blabs. Like they said everything. And I wasted no energy in the process by listening.
Yeah, you gained energy, if anything.
If anything, and that's why you think Scorpio rising exchange, or just Scorpio energy in general, like exchange. If anything, I gained insight. It kind of was the kind of thing I said earlier with the Aquarius thing. It's like people became their own social experiments. All I had to do was witness it. I didn't need to conduct anything. I didn't need to take notes.
You ain't gotta do nothing.
I just sat still. And I'm telling you, like, I realized, like, I had a lot more energy for the things that I was actually passionate about. Not someone random spilling whatever. Their guts, their whatever it is. And then I realized, like, oh, wow, like, now I can go do my project. Like, I can go,
fuck yeah.
set up what I want to set up. Like, you know, because somebody said something to me the other day, and they kind of did one of these spills in a text. And I was like, are you making an observation or do you have a question? And they literally never responded.
Roasted.
And I wasn't even trying to be mean. I was like being sincere. I was like, because the person said what he said, and I was like,
well, are you
making an observation or are you asking me a question?
See, this is where you got to pay attention to like the flip side of the Scorpio rising, because it's like, no matter what, you're gonna find yourself attracting transformation either within yourself or outside of yourself, right? And it just seems like, you know, doing that, you kind of just like made your choice of flipping the script, you know, and then it's weird because it's just like people don't like that because it's like you're always gonna bring up like insecurities in other people whether you like it or not, and I think this kind of applies like back to your quincunx between you know, the Martian quincunx of where it's just like, do I want to bring the fire or, you know, melt the ice?
Yeah, I started realizing...
And it's like, you're gonna do both regardless, so it's kind of like, just pick one, you know?
And this is the kind of thing I started realizing, like, that most times it's like, I don't even want to bring the fire anymore, only because at this stage of my life, I'm being more mindful of putting the fire into my own furnace. Because I feel like I used to spend so much energy bringing the fire for other people, but then I would be zapped myself afterwards. Like, I have nothing left to do for my own projects, my own desires, my own purpose, which is, I do imagine that this is a part of my purpose to help people transform, but it's kind of like you said, like, even when I don't put fire and bring the fire to others, they transform anyways. Yeah. Like that simple comment of, is this an observation or are you asking me a question? That within itself cost me nothing, and it helped them transform.
Oh yeah. Before we leave, we should definitely check out the castle.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's move.
Oh, right now I gotta pack some stuff up.
I'm getting hungry.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe you're not. You didn't eat anything. Besides a half an apple.
So there's a long story to that. I'll tell you when I turn this off.
Why, you lost your gut or something? Like you're
No, it's nothing like physically medical.